Gran Turismo 3 is 20 years old. Yep, 20. This game changed my life. This whole series changed my life. How though? How can a game that came out a year before I was even born have such a big impact on me? I'll explain all in this video. A tribute to a series of games that started it all, not just for myself, but for racing games as we know them today. Where do we start then?
Where do we start, mate? Well, because again, we're different kind of generations, kind of, are we? Would you go that far?
9 year difference, I think.
Yeah. So obviously for me, like, I started at the very beginning. I remember the first Gran Turismo, because that came out when I was 4. So I didn't have a PlayStation when I was 4, but I did have the first Gran Turismo when my mum and dad got me a PlayStation eventually. I remember that game. I remember the PlayStation 1, like I remember physically, like it's so clearly in my mind.
I think what 1 is to you, 3 is to me, basically.
Yeah, because 3 was like, when 3 came out, 3 came out 2001. In 2001, yeah. So I think it wasn't until 4, which is 2004, so I would have been 11 then, that I truly kind of appreciated the game, you know what I mean? I wasn't like a little kid anymore, I was like at secondary school. What was your first one?
My first one was 3. I remember that.
Your first one was 3?
I know that because my parents always used to bring it up because obviously racing games are a big part of my life now. Gran Turismo, to thank for that. They say like they remember the first game I ever played was Gran Turismo.
I reckon the game I spent the most time playing was probably 3.
3 I had the least content out of any of them, but it was just the quality of it was so good, especially at the time. Like,
it was such a jump up from 2. Like that was the biggest jump up, I think, in terms of game like quality, like in terms of the graphics and all that. And obviously 4 was another big jump up, but like I think between 2 and 3 was the biggest. 4
will always be like my favorite, I think, but my head says 5 is my favorite, but my heart says 4. 5 was like a weird one because it's not considered like anywhere near as one of the best, but for me it was my older brother, who was like 15 at the time when he got it. I used to sneak in his room at like 7 in the morning just to go and play it. And then I got it. We used to do Christmas Eve presents, and my brother was insistent that I opened his, and it was GT5. I think it was so that I stopped coming in his room in the morning to play.
It must have done the job. That's what I mean though, because I think a lot of it is to do with the platforms, because I think the PS2 was
God tier.
Yeah, was God tier, and then like Xbox 360 versus PS3. Like I had an Xbox 360, so I never played GT5 or 6, because I didn't have a PS3. And I think the Xbox 360 was more. I feel that's a more highly considered console than the PS3 because of Xbox Live and all that. And I think that's probably part of the reason why 5's not held in the same esteem, because 4 was just, I mean, that opening sequence in 4 will just never not be beautiful.
It's weird because like I think the 360 was better at the time, but the PS3's aged better. But yeah, we need to talk about the opening movies.
Well, you know what makes me laugh as well though, because in different regions, the song that plays after the thing, right? You know what I mean? That's different. So I've like watched on YouTube. If I've seen on YouTube these other ones, and it just feels wrong when it's not the song that I'm used to hearing.
Exactly. Honestly, the sport one seems like something out of a Disney movie, like the music and everything.
Yeah. The thing is with Gran Turismo as well, like something that's often overlooked is and I'm not even talking about the cars. I'm talking about the sound design of the games. So like the music in when you're in the car wash or in the mechanics or in the showroom, all of that is just so like, it just reeks of nostalgia, and that's so like integral to the games, even though it's nothing to do with the cars themselves. Just the sound design on the Gran Turismo games, generally speaking, is just second to none.
Clicking enter or whatever on GT4, it's just unmatched.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I love the GT7's got that menu design back. They just put dark mode on the GT4 menu.
Yeah. Love it.
I do love a bit of dark mode.
For me, growing up, I was there's just always been something about cars that I've been drawn to. Like my love of motorsport and all that comes from this core love of cars, and the Gran Turismo series just played a huge role in like just being an outlet for that, because none of my family were into cars, none of my mates were into cars. Like it was just my own little thing, because there's so many iconic like racing cars in these games. Like the Pennzoil Skyline is just immediately what I think to. Like when I think of Gran Turismo, it's just always there in my head.
I knew you'd say that, but I think I knew that anyone who I spoke to would say that. It just stands out so much. I think the Cal Sonic R32 as well.
Oh, mate. Was it the green NSX as well?
That's a car.
Yeah, that's it.
I think the Ray Brick one, the purple one for me, was the one that stood out.
And you know what? As another one that doesn't. So I had Gran Turismo Concept, which was between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And that had the original GTR, like the original R35. That it's weird looking at that now when you can see the actual car and you see what changed from that concept version of the car to the current one. Oh my god, the Esso Peugeot 206 as well.
Oh my god, yeah, the white and blue. That Clarion on it. That was. Do you remember the rally license on Gran Turismo 3? I think that was in the 206. Me and my family, we were in America. We were at my aunts and uncles, and they had a PS2. I have no idea why. I spent ages just doing the 206 license from rally, and my stepdad came in and he played for ages with me on it, and he got gold before I did, and he doesn't even have that much interest in cars.
Yeah.
It's just like
that's what I think the series has done like beautifully, because it still kind of doesn't make sense to me, but obviously it's a thing that people can be really into motorsport and not into cars, because for me they're inherently connected. And with Gran Turismo, you take that passion for, you've got both. You've got you've got motorsport, you've got cars, you've got them together. You've got bloody VW Lupos or Skyline JGTC cars. You know what I mean? Like you've got everything across. You've got a massive plethora. You got what's like the worst. What's like the most rubbish car that's been in? If they had like the Daihatsu Move or something.
Honda Life Step van was one of them in the
Honda Beat, or like one of them little pay cars. Yeah, the Beat's pretty cool, to be fair.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the Nike 1 2022 is coming out next year, apparently. The idea of that, I think, was like you could put your they had like iToy or something on PS2, and you could like it would scan your shoe or t-shirt, like t-shirt or something, and it would show up on the car. I can't remember how it worked.
That's mad.
Imagine if they added it back for GT7.
Please. I mean, it still looks like, it's mad how like it still kind of looks like what you would expect to see from like a modern concept car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't look that out the ordinary. Like in terms of concept cars.
What I find mad is that in 2005, 2004, that's how they envisioned cars to be in 2022.
Not very practical. Not very practical at all. That's how they thought cars would be in 2022. Instead, we've just got loads of compact SUVs.
I know you didn't play GT5, but obviously there was the Red Bull X2010.
Ah, yes. The Adrian Newey designed thing.
So, have Sebastian Vettel in the game, like this. I think this was one of the first times with it. Like they had Sebastian Loeb in there as well, but to have like F1 driver. I think the game came out like a week after he won the championship as well. So it was just perfect. Oh my god, that challenge was so hard. Honestly, like I've still only ever got bronze on it. I think
I've seen videos of people like driving that in the game, and it just doesn't look. It looks like you're on fast forward. Like it's ridiculous. It's actually crazy.
It's meant to be if racing cars had no rules. What tracks like stand out to you, like specifically?
But I remember the Fat Off Oval as well. That was such a
test course.
Yeah, that's it. Trial Mountain. Hang on. Was it Trial Mountain?
But I think the thing is, you've got so many in your head that says it all.
Yeah, I was talking about Trial Mountain, but also Midfield Raceway was so sick. But I think Trial Mountain was my favourite.
Obviously in Gran Turismo, like they don't need to. There's no like FIA grade standard or anything. Well, there is. Well, I think the tracks they did in sport, because there's FIA in the game. I think they did try to make them a bit more FIA approved, but still.
I love that though. I love that they've got these original kind of made up tracks in the game as well. Like I think it just adds a nice, like that's always the dream, isn't it? When you're a kid, like you design race tracks, like you sketch them out on a piece of paper, like how you want the design to be.
One of those tracks there is like an iconic part. So I think you Deep Forest Raceway, you think of the tunnel at the back straight. Grand Valley, you think of that bridge, start of Sector 3. Tri Mountain, Yeet Chicane. But that's gone. It's back for GT7, which obviously I'm so excited for. But they've tilted the last chicane.
Obviously, throughout my play of Gran Turismo, it was always just a single player experience because I didn't have a PS3 and I only played up till 4. Whenever I've played racing games, I've never really been one to play online against other people. I've always either just played single player or just done time trials because I just can't be asked with dealing with shameful rammers, as Steve would put them.
That's what's so exciting about 7, because they had sport that was just basically like the campaign wasn't even added until a few months after. It was just so online focused.
And what they've done as well, that they managed to build this series where it's not like a Need for Speed or even like a Forza where you can like make modifications to the car and like slam it and put big spoilers and wings and graphics on it. Like the foundations of the Gran Turismo games aren't predicated on that. It's just about that pure car experience. I don't think at the time the developers would have appreciated just how kind of fundamental these games were to people from our generations, like passion for cars, because they're expensive things, cars, and they're not something anyone can just jump in and drive. And it's a lovely way to kind of get that fix for motoring and motorsport and these beautiful cars. Like some of them, especially if you're in the States where you don't get a lot of these amazing European cars. Yeah, it's just a nice way of kind of scratching that itch, I suppose, where you can't necessarily do the same in real life. There's countless cars that I'll never be able to afford that were like, will always be imprinted in my mind from the Gran Turismo games, you know?
You know, Kazunori Yamauchi, the guy who, the producer of Gran Turismo, like, you can just, he's a real racing driver as well. He's like, I think, has he won the Nürburgring 24-hour? He's done it so many times. And the cars he drives, he's been in like the GTR and the M6. They're in Gran Turismo. And it's just, he gets it. He'd be like my dream person to interview. I don't know if you've seen that, probably not, on the PlayStation channel when Gran Turismo 6 came out. They did a documentary film about Kaz. I think at the end he was talking about, they sort of, do you imagine the day Gran Turismo came out, or the night at midnight, how successful it would be? And he was saying like how he thought there'd be like a few people there because racing isn't as big as other genres. He just thought it'd be like a few people maybe. And he's just talking about like he just sees this massive line going back and back and back for ages, and he realised we've actually smashed it.
So much of my love of cars is influenced by Gran Turismo, and so I'm always, when I'm thinking about what car would I love to own, I'm always drawn to those classics from the Gran Turismo games.
The thing with Gran Turismo is like it's ridiculously detailed. Like there'll be things that the most passionate person about cars, like they will not know, but the way it also connects with people who aren't as familiar with cars as well. Like, it's the way that they can appeal to both audiences. That
immersion that Gran Turismo gives and that attention to detail, I think, is second to none in any other series. And I just think there's still more that they can do to kind of just ramp up and embracing like car culture and celebrating so as well. Like I love that they've got little Daihatsus alongside amazing like hypercars. There's just something like pure and genuine about that, and I think that's something that Gran Turismo kind of is able to encapsulate more than any other series, you know.